let's roll. Co-pilot on the passenger side, be so fly. Yeah, she so lit, we so high. Just me and my chick, yeah. Just me and my chick, yeah. Co-pilot on the passenger side, be so fly. Yeah, she so lit, we so high. Just me and my chick, yeah. Just me and my chick, yeah. She give me a bit of her love.
Yo, what up, y'all? Excuse me. Welcome to another one. This is your boy Ra1, and this is Sparking Conversation. And y'all know what I do each and every week, man. I get up here and I talk to some of the world's most interesting people. And this week I'm going to do the same thing. But before we get into that, y'all know what I do every week as well. I like to give a special thanks to all the people that download the audio version of this platform. Thank y'all so much, because I'm telling y'all, I definitely appreciate y'all. Y'all the real MVPs. I'm going to make sure I give y'all a shout out first each and every time, because that's how the value adds to your platform, is the audio portion, right? That's what people consume when it comes down to it, right? We know that this part is an extra bonus part, this video part. And I know a lot of people put emphasis on the video part. And the video part can get you to where you're going to as well. You know what I mean? So I don't want to discount it or discredit it. But what I'm saying to you is that in order for your podcast to be official, the audio version has to be out there and accessible to those people who really consume podcasts, right? Because it's just like a book. I want y'all to really look at it from that perspective. If there are millions of books being sold every day, that means that there's somebody sitting down reading a book. So don't think just because your podcast is an hour or 2 hours long or even 3 hours long, that it's not somebody or millions of people out there who won't listen to it. I tell y'all a lot. You can't tell yourself no. You can't say that everybody is doing something because it seems like a lot of people are doing something, because everybody is not. It just looks like it. And then in our proximity of things that we consider a lot, you know, there are people out here who consider the smallest amount a lot, but then there are people who are used to a lot who look at the smallest amount, or what people call a lot, as a little. And what I mean by that, say like, for example, there are people who will look like at $100 as a blessing, but then there's a millionaires who look like at $100 as if that's just like not even, they don't even hold that into their wallet, right? So what I'm saying to y'all is that there are different perspectives at different levels. And depending on what level you on, that's where people, you know, they meet you there. So I'm thankful for everybody that take the time out to download the audio version or ride around and listen to it, because they listen to me and they listen to my guests. And even when I don't have a guest, they still download the audio version. So I got to give a shout out to them. Right. So I also want to give a shout out to a bunch of other people, right? Well, not necessarily people individually, but to all the people that's been rocking with your boy. First and foremost, I want to give a special shout out to the Oob Lifter series, because part 20, that's right, y'all. Oob Lifter part 20 dropped today. So if any of y'all are following me on Facebook right now, it's pinned to my page. If you are on the Collective Visions page on YouTube, you can go check that out. What I need y'all to do is do me a favor. I want y'all to leave a comment. I want y'all to, share it, like it, or however the vibes may go. I definitely appreciate all the love and support that you guys actually give me on the content. All right. So thank y'all. Also, want to remind y'all that there are puppies for sale. Stratfordshire's puppies are for sale. If you guys are out there looking for the perfect pet to give away to somebody or to gift to someone, or even if you're looking for a new companion yourself, make sure you holler at me so I can make the connection so you guys can go ahead and get you an extra addition to your family. All right. Outside of that, we want everybody to know that we don't wait, we create. That's right. The biggest networking kickback is going down Saturday, April 18th from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. And yes, we're getting the word out there early. Why? Because we want to make sure that people that really want to be in the building lock this date in. It's one of the dates that you get booked, because what we're looking for, right? We're looking for models. We're looking for actors and actresses. We're looking for clothing designers. We're looking for script and concept writers. We're looking for brand ambassadors, directors, videographers, booking and casting agents. We're looking for all that. You know what I'm saying? I want y'all all in the building so we network. Because one thing about each and everything that we are listed here, we have someone that is seriously doing and really working towards like each individual thing that we're seeing out here that we want to be in the building. So it's not like if you come to this kickback or this networking event that you're not going to come out with something. This is not what we do. We don't do the whole just to have a bunch of people come in and just, have a bunch of people in the building. That's not what we're doing this for. So we definitely want you in the building. So if you are a person that's interested in coming to get down with the people that's getting down, I want y'all to email us at thecollectivevisions1@gmail.com. I want you to put in the subject network, and we'll get you that information. We'll put you on the RSVP list so you can get in the building for free or be in the spot for free. We just want all the movers and shakers in the building. So make sure y'all there. If this is something that interests y'all, make sure y'all there. All right. So at the same time, we want y'all also to know that 420 in the spring is back as well the same day, because Lit Sticks will be in the building at the We Don't Wait, We Create. We also going to do the 420 in the spring as well. So we will have a bunch of vendors and all these other things out there it's just going to be a vibe. So we want to make sure that y'all are in the building. So if you are interested in the 420 in the spring kickback as well, you know what I mean, that's taking place the same day, and you want to be one of the people that's gifted a free 50, one of the 50 people that's gifted free pre-roll, then y'all know what to do. Email litsticksbrand@gmail.com. Make sure you put vibes and the number 2 in the subject line, and we're going to get you that. All right, we're going to lock you in. Make sure you on the RSVP list to be in the building. All right, bet. So, with that being said, if you are a business out there, right, or if you have any type of product or an event coming up and you want to get down and get in front of these 30,000 people that we in front of every month on Sparking Conversation, y'all know what to do. I'm doing a special right now, $10 a month for the first 50 businesses that want to get down, right, for the year. You know what I mean? I'm going to shout you out, make sure you get that extra promo, and we're going to move it around. Plus, even after I drop your joint, I keep moving it around. So, hey, I'm going to work with you. So thank y'all for all the people that's been interested so far, and we in there. So what else we got? So for all my people that I like to say, like, we out here, man, and we really putting in the work. So I'm so glad that all of you guys that's been sticking with us, y'all been holding us down, and y'all haven't left the building yet. Right. So all the people out there that like to get to where they're going, and I mean to where they're going without alcohol, the Good Feels brand is in the building. I want you guys to holler at them and make sure to use code RA1 in the code, and get 20% off. All right. Because they're doing regular 10% off if you just regularly shop. But if you use my code, you get an extra 10% off, 20% off everything that you buy from the Good Feels brand. So make sure y'all click the link in the descriptions and check them out. Okay? All right. Now that we got all of that out the way, listen, y'all. I got my guests in the building, but before I bring my guests up, y'all know I got to give y'all part of my new segment that I'm doing this year or this season, right? It's called the Did You Know segment. Now, I know a lot of times I'm up here and I like to make sure that we protect a couple of things as men. I think it's our duty to protect women and children. Now, I understand that we also put ourselves on the line without protections, without protection for ourselves. But then again, that goes back to us as men. Like, what do we do to help protect each other without having to put each other in a position where we're always in competition with each other? We understand that naturally men have that thing based on testosterone, but when it comes down to survival, we do a whole lot better working together than we do separate. But either way it goes, right? That's just from me to y'all, you know what I mean? But I always like to make sure that we give these tidbits out, right? Because it's information that people just need to know. So for women, y'all know that because everything is about money, the economy and everything else, that's what people use in order to do the things that they do to y'all. Like, for example, with this trafficking thing. Now, mind you, we got a whole bunch of things going on with ICE in the world, and people upset and the things that's going on with ICE. But it's like almost like people have forgotten that they're also looking for people who have been trafficked. Now, for some reason, that part is being skipped and that part is being missed because of the things that are happening to the civilians right now, like, based on things that are going on with ICE and, regular everyday citizens and stuff like that. But we're forgetting that, they're also looking for traffickers too as well. But in the meantime, traffickers are doing things that they know or they feel like they have the highest rate of being able to get y'all ladies in the trunk or in the back of a van, and that's by using money. Right now, I know a bunch of times on this show, I've given out warnings to women, like saying, like, listen, pay attention when you go shopping. If you have your child, make sure you put your child in first, but make sure that when you put your groceries, when you buy yourself, don't put them in your trunk, put them in your back seat. Right? Make sure you pay attention to the car that's parked next to you, whichever way you're going to have your back to. These are things that you can control, right? When, if somebody pull up on the side of you, it's easy for you to go around your car versus you being in your trunk bent over or your back to the where the cars are. Next thing you know, somebody pull up, hop out real quick, and then boom, because your back is turned. So you don't do these things. So I like to give out these warnings to people to pay attention, because even when it come to mine, I give out these rules too. So that way, to not to cover me, because I'm not trying to be right. That's not the point. I give out these rules because I'm telling you to pay attention. Right. So this is things that I want to make sure that we give out to everybody to pay attention. So I'm gonna share my screen with y'all real quick, because like I said, this is what this is about. Right. At all times, we want to make sure we give this information out. So before I go on my rant, I'm gonna do my did you know segment. So let's do this. I'm gonna share my screen real quick so I can give y'all this vibe. I
All right, all the women out there, I've got a new trend going on right now. Dangerous as can be in the parking lots. This is what they're doing. They're going to have a dollar bill, usually $20 to $100, folded up, laying on the ground, usually going to be on your driver's side on the ground, but a lot of times they'll put it by the back trunk, and they've already watched you go in the store. They've already got someone inside the store, watch you come out of the store, and they're already planting it by your vehicle. As soon as you go to pick that up, again, it's laced with fentanyl. As soon as you open that up, you're going to immediately get dizzy, get a splitting headache, and probably collapse to the ground. That's when they're already ready for you. They move in with the van, load you up, and they're going to take you away. It's a trend going on right now, and there's several hundred women that have gone missing due to picking up a dollar bill of some type like this in the parking lot. They collapse and they take them away. Women, please be careful out there. I've also got another photo. Hold on. They're also using a dollar bill, usually a lot of times like this, but they'll be folded up as well in your windshield wiper, like you can see here. Do not open it up. As I've said before, it's laced with fentanyl.
All right. So like I said, I wanted to make sure that y'all know this is that did you know segment when it come down to sparking conversation, because I want to get this information out there, because I want y'all to understand. I'm not like, even from when it come from a person like me, sometimes I have to reiterate and make sure that people don't just think that I'll just be up here popping shit just to pop it. Like, I really am saying to y'all, if this is what we supposed to be doing out here, we have to give this information out. We can't protect people that don't want to be protected, but we can't also just keep wearing that, that on our report card whenever it comes down to the relationship between men and women. Because when it comes down to it, y'all, it's up to us to fix the things that are wrong in our community. It's so easy for us to point out what's wrong in our community, but it's so hard for people to want to fix it, right? Because people always like to feel like they better than other people, and they'll look at another person's problem, and because they don't have that problem, it makes them feel exonerated or makes them feel above someone else, because they may not be dealing with the same struggle, but it don't. And I don't understand why people feel that way when it comes down to life. Like, we use all kind of ways to judge people. Like, we don't judge them based on the character, we judge them based on who they are and what their title is, right? Or what they seem to have been. And that's another reason why I'm glad I got my guest on today, because what I want to talk about today is what a lot of people are dealing with in some shape, form, or fashion, even if they don't admit it, and that's addictions, right? And how to overcome things that you are addicted to. because there are people who are addicted to all kind of things that look down on other people based on the measurement of the addict or what they're addicted to. So let's put it to you like this. Right now, we know there are people out there who are addicted to substances, right? That those substances may give them a title. So I grew up with people who, in my family, if they drank alcohol, it wasn't just that they called them alcoholic, it was a specific. So if they were getting drunk off wine, it would be called winos. If they were drunk off, certain type of liquor, whatever that liquor was, they were called that. And then you got all the people who were on other substances like drugs and different things like that. If they were called a crackhead or if they were called a dope fiend and all of these other things that the titles that they was given. And then we got people who are on the other end who think they better than those people. Those people are addicted to lying. Then you got people who are addicted to stealing. Then you got people who are addicted to just doing shit to cause drama around people because they don't have no other emotion or no other way of feeling important but to keep a bunch of stuff stirred up. There are a lot of people, you could tell, because these people are addicted to watching, all these fight and all this what you call reality TV. Because reality TV ain't nothing but a bunch of that, a bunch of drama, a bunch of crap, a bunch of fighting, a bunch of discord and all that other stuff. People are addicted to watching it because they like that energy. But nobody wants to talk about when people get over those things. Like, why do people really put people in a box based on the things that they did at some point as if they could never change? Because the one thing about people I realize is that they're so quick to think that another person can't change, but they can. Or another person is not different, but they are. Or like, because we are able to get help, you know what I'm saying? That people don't understand the difference in saying to themselves, like, yo, listen, man, I'm not that anymore. And then there are people who have gone through different addictions, right? And stuff like that, where they're told to admit that they're still that in order for them to always realize that that's what they are. And for me, I never really believed in that. And it's not my place to tell another person what they need to do in order to get to where they need to go. I'm just saying that, but when you are different or when you are that person, then that's what you are. And yes, there are things that you used to be. That's what growth come in at. There's nobody walking around here that just can continue to keep saying, yeah, I'm a baby. Right? And then there are people who are out there that are really doing stuff immaturely and their age is a certain way, right? But at the same time, if you really think about it, everybody has a choice as to what their level of maturity is based on their choices that they make on the situations that they deal with. So I just want to put this out here, y'all. Whenever it comes down to somebody being addicted to something, just don't count yourself out just because it ain't what you may think addiction is just tied to, like drugs, like alcohol, like sex. There are a bunch of people who will look at those addictions and make it seem like those are the main addictions, but people are also addicted to doing harm. People are addicted to taking you, ladies, right? And people are addicted to doing things to children. There are so many different addictions out there that we have to be willing to face those head on. And not only that, when people have reformed themselves from where they used to be, yeah, they may never gain the trust back from the people that they hurt during the times that they were going through their addiction. But at that particular point in time, that's up to them to seek redemption, not the person that they did it to. It's up to the person that they did the drama to either forgive them or not, because that's where the burden lies on their shoulders. But anything outside of that is on the person that did it. And if we can just really get to those particular scenarios in life, then maybe we can narrow our ways down to the group of people who are like-minded people that really want to do the work in order to, get to the place of freedom that they want to be. Because a lot of times freedom is in getting over the things that you feel have you bound. So this is what we're going to do. I got my guests here. So I'm gonna bring my guest up because this is gonna be one of those conversations. All right. So let me see. I got some comments already. Let's see. I got at Braxton 2167 said, hi, what's going on out there, Braxton? I got my boy Cam in the building. Salute, Cam. I see you already. My guy. And okay, so I just got a bunch of highs from Braxton. But let's do this. let's get my guests in the building so we can really have this conversation and we could break this down because this is a guy who actually could speak firsthand from dealing with it and also overcoming what most people would condemn you for, or most people have given up and have taken him out. So let's bring my brother up here real quick and let's talk to him. What's going on, bro?
How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Had a long day at work and getting done
Uh,
with that, and now doing this, and I'm gonna hit up the gym.
that's what's up. That's what's up, man. Well, look, this is what we're gonna do. Man. If you don't mind, do me a favor and introduce yourself to the audience, and then let them know why you're on the platform this evening.
Sounds good. I'll do that, and then I have a couple of things I wrote down just from what you were just saying that I'm gonna, if you don't mind, hit real quick, and then we can dive into everything else. But uh, I'm I'm Antoine Evans. Nickname is Preacher. I got that from when I was in my addiction, um, and it really stuck when I came out of it. I wasn't gonna use the nickname Preacher, but someone told me they're like that's what everybody knows you as. So if you're gonna do this recovery work, uh, like not only has your life been redeemed, but you can redeem the nickname as well. So I kept the nickname Preacher, and most people call me Preacher. Even my girlfriend's kids call me
Okay.
Preacher. So um, I'm a recovery center supervisor, a peer advocate. I have my own podcast. My co-host, who was going to be on, but he unfortunately broke his foot taking out the garbage a couple weeks ago.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
some tough garbage.
that's
Yikes.
what I said. So, but he's my co-host. He was in addiction with me, and so we have the podcast. It used to be Preacher's Corner, but it's just been revamped to the Savage Collective. For anybody who's gone through. At first, it was just for people who have been through addiction and who are in recovery. But then I was like, everybody's been through stuff, and so I was like, let me change it to the Savage Collective for anybody who has been through stuff and come out the other end to be able to tell about it. So I have that. Writing a book right now. Um, so I'm working on that and have a couple more book ideas that I'll work on after I'm finished with this one. And then have two kids. Don't see them right now. Still working on it. Um, and have an amazing girlfriend right now. She has three kids. Um, and yeah, just I tell everybody I heard this from when I was in training for my job. Make sure every day you're building a life that you don't want to be absent from. And so
Wow.
that's what
That's
I'm
a
doing.
good one. Facts. Well, look, man, I mean, I think that's amazing because there are a lot of people who suffer from certain types of addiction that they don't make it to the other end,
Absolutely.
because there are a lot of people who use their addictions for to escape,
Hmm.
right? They don't really use it as a base of recreation and it just takes their life. They use it as a place of escaping, right? Because so much childhood trauma that people suppress that they don't really get over,
Yeah,
and those things carry on to people that they find substance as a means to hide it or to escape it, right? And so let's talk a little bit about what your addiction was so people
okay,
that are watching can pretty much either identify with somebody who
definitely.
they can relate to. Yeah.
And so one thing about addiction, like I know people who are still that I used with that are still in addiction. Sadly, like my co-host, his wife and her sister are still in addiction.
Mm,
And so I still know people that are in it, and I was part of a couple Facebook recovery groups as an admin, and
yeah,
one was called Recover Out Loud, and we used to always say we recover out loud for those who are suffering in silence. And so
gotcha.
eh, I add for those who have died in silence as well, because
Mm,
sadly, and I say this all the time, I have a second lease on life, a second chance
mm,
and that's something that a lot just from talks, because I'm a personable guy, and that didn't stop when I was in addiction. And so I had a lot of conversations with a lot of different people, and the common thread was that everybody, we always talked about, what if I was out? What would I do if I was out? And so there's a lot of people who are in addiction who have that, like, 'cause you don't stop dreaming when you go into addiction. You still have the same
Mm,
hopes. You still have the same dreams. Uh, I get emotional about this, uh, and it doesn't stop. And I think that's the worst part about addiction, because you still have
right,
those dreams and you still have those hopes,
right.
but addiction takes it all away. And mine,
Yeah,
so mine was crack, and
gotcha.
and it came at. I was a student pastor at the time, so I was leading all these students, um, but I was going through a divorce as well, and I sadly resonated with more with the people in the drug circles than I did with people at church. And I saw how happy they were. And I was like, I want to be happy too. And all it did
Yeah,
was suck everything out of my life.
yeah. And I think that was what makes this conversation so important because of the fact that happiness is something that everybody is trying to find. They just don't know how to find it. So what
Absolutely.
we so what they do is they find it in how they feel like other people may be
Hmm.
in their space to seem like they happy. That's why you got so many people who are either jealous of another person when they see them successful or they are inspired by that person. It's never in the middle, where they kind of don't like them, but then they kind of inspired. No, it's like one or the other whenever they see somebody in a space that they're not. And then there are a lot of people who want to be a person so bad that they try to be them, not knowing what they've gone through in order to
Absolutely.
be that person, right? So let's
That's
talk a
why I
little.
tell people, I say, chase joy, not happiness.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the one part about the life that we live that I think that's the balance of where people don't understand that you can have joy without being happy, right? Because the joy is what's going to give you that push to keep moving forward, even in the time that
Absolutely.
you're not happy. But if you're always looking for happiness, you won't find it because you're looking for it. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
But
and even
joy,
even if you, and it's because happiness too. And I try telling, not everybody listens, but like happiness is attached to something. And
mm,
so if your kids make you happy, or your job makes you happy, or a
right,
certain activity makes you happy, what happens
right,
when that's gone? And
right.
so joy is internal. Joy is something that you have to
Mhm.
find regardless of what's around you. And I people ask me, like, how can you still smile when things are going bad? Like, my life isn't like where I want it to be, but I still have joy, and I can be in a bad situation and still smile because I'm joyful. I can be unhappy but still
Yeah,
be joyful and still smile and still appreciate life and still be grateful, if
yeah.
I'm joyful. If you're chasing happiness, once you lose that thing that makes you happy, you're miserable.
Mm. And that goes back to attachments to things too, right? Because a lot of times addictions are attached to things as well, like happiness, right? Like most people who start or suffer from something as heavy as addiction, like as you were, it starts from somewhere, like you said, like you were looking for happiness, or other people because of what they go through. Like people don't just jump out there and say because people could look at a person who is dealing with the same substance before them and see that's not a road that they really want to go down. But then there are people who, in their mind, feel like they can handle it or they can take it or it won't do them like that or I can just,
Absolutely.
but they don't
That was me.
understand that the demon. Oh, so that was you. So let's talk a little bit
I
about that
I
because that's the
looked at
mindset.
so I remember I had so I started out by when I was separated from my ex-wife. I moved into this apartment and I went from two incomes to one income. And so I was like, what am I gonna do to make up for, like, because I was used to living a certain life. And so I started doing Uber. And when I was doing Uber,
Right.
I got linked up with this one girl who was smoking crack.
Mm.
And at that time, I was just hanging out with them. And they would always tell me, they'd be like, yo, preacher, like, it's awesome. A lot of people in church don't, like, they shun people like us, but you're sitting here hanging out with us and talking with us and eating with us and things like that. And so I really gained the trust of all of them. But little did they know, like, I was watching each of them and hearing, like, oh, you're going through the same stuff I'm going through. And you
Mm.
guys can relate more to what I'm going through than people at church, because a lot of times, like, and sadly, people in church nowadays put on a mask as soon as you enter the door. And so
Right.
there's a lot of people that are broken and hurting and don't have their life together like they would like people to believe, but you wouldn't know it because everybody puts on this mask. And so uh, I remember one day, like, and so before leading up to me actually starting to use, I was always like, I'm good. I'm not gonna pick it up. And I even remember telling people at church, like, I'm like, yo, can you imagine? What if I shut down the trap? Like, what if I go in and I help everybody and like the trap shuts down and they're like, yo, Pastor
Man.
Antoine, like, you gotta be careful. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. I got this. And they're like, be careful. You're in a real vulnerable spot. You're going through this divorce. Like, you got to be careful. And I'm like, I'm good. Famous last words. And so I remember one
Yeah,
time I
man.
was sitting with one dude who happened to become one of my good buddies. Um, and he looked at me, and so the girl I was hanging out with, we went to his house, and he used to deal and everything. And she was like, "Yo, tell preacher why he shouldn't pick this up." And he was like, yo, I'm not going to tell you to pick it up or not. He said, but what I will tell you, he said, if you're going to pick it up, he said, give me your house keys, give me your car keys, give me your job, give me your family, give me your career, everything. He said, because eventually that's everything it's going to take from you. And I was like, whatever. And I started, and even when I was in addiction, I would look at, like, I never would pick up stuff off the ground. And so I'm like, well, I'm not in the, like, obviously that bad. Look, I'm not like them. Yeah, or I wouldn't look through windows or things like that. And so I'd be like, look, I'm not like them. And so I used to call myself a social smoker. And that would, like, somehow in my mind made me feel I'm not in that deep, yet it was tearing everything apart around me. And so that's the lie that a lot of people will tell themselves is, like, I'm not like them.
Mm.
But really, at the end of the day, bro, you were a straight crackhead. Like,
Yeah. But it's like that in a lot of different industries, right? So let's
mhm,
take, like, if you look at the drugs, or you look at the hood or the trap or whatever, it's no different than the music industry. It's no
mhm,
different than the film industry or Hollywood or whatever. It's a lot of people who go in and thinking that they can make a change, or they're going
mhm,
to be the one that's going to make it different, or no, people are not going to do them that way. And then once they get in there, and it's always the way that the devil hooks people. He doesn't hook you in the sense of saying, like, I'm gonna blatantly take all your shit. He hooks you in your pride, right?
mhm,
Because most people walk into things thinking, because they've been through other things, that they can go through this. And but this is not what God gave you. Now, some people don't realize that the things that we go through, that we don't bring on ourselves, we can really look for God in those particular things. But
absolutely.
then we are choices that we make. And in our choices, once we deviate from that and start saying that what we can and can't do based on that, not realizing that the things we did go through is because God got us through them,
Mhm,
and not even speaking from a religious perspective, I'm talking
mhm,
about what you've been through. God got you through that. Now, if you're going to put yourself in crack, that's almost like, not you personally, because we know you're over it, but I'm talking about a person who's thinking about this, right? If they put themselves in that, they're forgetting that God got them through what they've been through, not
absolutely.
them. So for you to go in there with the strength of saying you could defeat a demon, even when they say that when it comes down to principalities and, things that are beyond your control, that's not your battle.
No.
So fighting with a demon you will never win that. You know
Well,
what I'm saying?
that's like if I don't know how much of your audience knows Bible or things like that, but
Yeah.
that's like if David were to have gone against Goliath and been like, "Oh, I got this because of me." It wasn't because of David, and he even said it before he went up against Goliath. He's like, "Oh, when they're like, well, how are you going to do this?" He's like, "Well, it's not because of me." He said, "It's because of what I've been through, and it's I know who did it for me. So I'm going to go in and fight it with not by myself, but with him." And so you can't go into addiction and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to do this, and God's going to get me out." Like, no, God's gonna be like, "Bro, I don't want you to go into addiction." Like, but at the same time, he can use it. And
Yeah.
so while he didn't want me to go into addiction, he's definitely used it for good,
For your
for
purpose.
everything that I've done after.
Hmm.
And so I look at it like sometimes and again, looking at the Bible, like um, most people, even if they don't know the Bible, know the story of Peter walking on water,
Yeah.
and it says that Jesus knew there was a storm coming, and so but he still sent them onto the water, and so he sent them onto the water knowing that a storm was coming, and so sometimes
Right.
he wants us to. While he doesn't want us to go into addiction, he wants us to go through that storm because on the other side there's a lesson. And so uh, I I know before I was like, well, I ruined my calling and I ruined this. And someone told me like, you didn't ruin it. Like you went through a storm and you came out. And
Right.
so now I came out the other side, and a lot of people are fine with being like, okay, I came out of it. Let me go back to a normal life. But I'm like, why would I go back to a normal life after what I experienced? Like,
Right.
I want to turn back and help other people get out.
Yeah. And that's a good thing because, like I said, what it did, our road to our purpose, a lot of times, it's never going to be paved in gold. It's never going
Mm-hmm.
to be in that perspective, right? Sometimes we're going to, all of us, we go through the fire in order to come out on the other end as whatever that valuable piece of stone would be, because we can't just look at our lives and feel like because we have a connection to the creator that is supposed to go just flowers and meadows all the way
That'd be
through our
nice.
life. You know what I mean? Yeah, it would be, but that's not
but
that.
you don't learn. You don't learn from it
Unfortunately,
either.
that's not how I go, right? And in the perspective of what you went through, that's why I say it's very people got to really be careful how they judge people, because even going through your addiction, I'm sure you lost a lot of people during your addiction. I don't know if that was
Absolutely.
one of the points you wanted to make about what I said in the beginning. I don't know. I know you said
Um,
you wrote some things
no,
down.
I just said that like everyone. I heard you talking about like addiction in general,
Mhm,
and it can
mhm.
be anything. And really, at the end of the day, um, everyone is well. Not everyone is addicted to something, but everyone struggles with something. And
Yeah,
some people might hear that and be like, "No, I'm not. I don't struggle with drugs. I don't struggle with that." But addiction isn't just like a substance.
right.
Addiction can be work. Addiction can be family, but not all addiction is judged in the same way. And so
Exactly.
some are more acceptable than others. Like if someone's addicted to work, no one's like, "Oh man, look, that person's addicted to work." They call them a go getter. They say, "Look, that person has grit. Look, they grind it out." While the whole time, and this was me when I was a student pastor, and one thing that led to my divorce is I was always working, always grinding, and I thought it was like it was gung ho. Look at me, and I I built I didn't build, but God helped me build this student ministry that went from like one or two students that if everybody would have showed up on a Wednesday, we would have had about 100, 130 students. And so,
Gotcha.
um, like, if anybody would have saw that, then oh, look at that person, he works hard. But no, little did they know, I would go home and still work, and I neglected my whole family, and that's why my boys don't talk to me to this day. Like, and
Mm,
so like, and then some people's addiction is family. Like, and you put everything you are into family, so then your job is neglected, and like other things in life are neglected, and so
mm.
too much, too much of something can be bad, even if it's good.
And that's the thing. And that's why I said that when it come down to what a person is, they could still have the same outcome even if they're not judged the same, right?
Absolutely,
Like, so even if a person would look at a person that's on drugs and say that they are worse than a person who works all the time, you still lose the same thing. You lose your family, you lose everything. You
absolutely.
lose. I mean, you may gain more money, but then I know a lot of people who was addicted who was always found a way to get what they needed and they didn't have a job. So for some reason, they found a way to get their addiction taken care of each and every day. So it's like there are things that people suffer with, right? But it all goes back to, I guess, what my point was in the beginning is that a lot of people put emphasis on what the actual thing that a person is addicted to outside of the fact that you are addicted as well, because food, people are addicted to food and they're
I think
obese
that's
and
the
they got
worst
all these
addiction.
different drugs. You get what I'm saying? Because that's the one that's the least judged. Why? Because they advertise food on television. They got
But
buffets
you
everywhere.
you
You know what I'm
can't even
saying?
even like I went, I didn't go to a rehab or anything like that. I just stopped using, and so like
Really?
even doing that is called cold turkey. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
you can't go cold turkey on a food addiction because you need to eat. Like
Yeah, yeah,
every
yeah.
other
True.
addiction, you can be like, you know what, I'm not gonna drink. I'm not gonna come around alcohol. Like even alcohol, because it's displayed in stores, and football season you have commercials about it, and so like even that. But like crack, heroin, things like that, you can't just walk into a store, be like, hey, can I get some heroin? And even alcohol, like you have to be a certain age and you have to have an ID. And but food's the worst one because you have to eat. So now it becomes a matter of self control. Like, am I going to overeat, or am I going to step back? And we see it all the time on shows like my 600 pound life and things like that. Like
Yeah.
where it's a hard, and now coming from a place of like I love my 600 pound life, just the story of like redemption with people and things like that. And I used to watch it pre-addiction, and now I watch it post-addiction, and I'm like, oh my goodness! And I see how food is such an addiction because all the things that they're saying are the things I was saying when I was in addiction, and so my heart goes out to people in a food addiction because you can't just stop eating. You have to keep eating, and then now you have to try to figure out a life where like, okay, I'm going to eat in moderation, but even that is hard. Like, and so
I mean,
yeah.
but it goes back to the form of like how we are not to judge each other.
Hmm.
And I think there lies the truth in that, right? Because like you
Absolutely.
said, whether you are addicted to a substance or whether you're addicted to a necessity, right? The fact that you are addicted to something, it has the same effect no matter how we cut it. The only difference is we've allowed so many different things in our lives, and people have put this on us. They project racism on us. They project light skin, dark skin in the same race. They project height, tall, short,
Hmm.
6 figures, this person. Everybody finds a way to put another thing against something else
Absolutely.
versus looking at it from the perspective of saying how it all intertwines together, because all addictions have the same effect. They just
Absolutely.
keep them separate in some type of when we all should be faced with the same thing, because there are people who do everything that you're saying in moderation, right? There are people who think that they are productive on their substance,
Hmm.
but then there are people who have gotten people around them addicted to their
Hmm.
substance as well,
Absolutely.
right? So you got people who brought other people down just because the person that's around them just want to love them,
Hmm.
and so they join it. They don't
Well,
have a real
that's how
reason why
my
they went in.
that's how my co-host and his wife fell into addiction because his sister-in-law was in addiction, and they were going out to the city to keep like giving her food and things like that. And
Yeah.
they crashed their car one time, and they couldn't get back, and they ended up staying where her sister was, and they ended up falling into addiction and ended up being there for another like almost a year. And so yeah,
Wow.
it sometimes the people, and then for me, I if I wouldn't have been hanging out with the people I was hanging out with, would have I picked up? Probably not. And I think a
Mm.
lot of the separation and the really classification of this is better than this. Um, I think it goes back to everybody looks at addiction as the problem, regardless of what it is. Like, oh, it's a problem that you have to take care of. But when I came out of addiction, and I worked at like a homeless shelter pre-addiction, and so I worked around people in addiction, but I never really understood addiction until I went through it myself. And so,
Mm.
like, I saw like addiction isn't the problem. There's a deeper problem that has to be resolved and has to be taken care of. Addiction has become the solution for a lot of people.
A
It's a coping
problem.
mechanism,
Mm.
and so people turn to addiction in order to deal with something, whatever it is. Um, and it might even be some like, and I when I was in addiction, I saw it like people who were CEOs and they were playing basketball on a Saturday, ended up like spraining their ankle. The doctor gave them Percocets, and they fell into addiction. And so even then, it's still not the problem. The addiction was because of the solution to the pain that was the ankle. And so now
Mm.
it's like so many people look at it as, oh, that's the problem. And many times people attach, since the addiction is the problem, now you are a problem. And so
Mm.
I try to tell people like who you were in your addiction isn't who you are today, but who you are isn't because of what you did. And so like
Yeah.
I hate titles, things like that, because I even when I was in my addiction, that didn't define me,
Mm.
and it doesn't define me today. What defines me is who I belong to, and so I'm strong on my faith, and I might slip
Right.
away from times, but I always know where to go back to.
So,
And so that's what defines me, and it's not what I've been through, it's not what I've done, but
right.
who I am defines what I do.
Right.
So
Which that should be for all of us, because what good
absolutely.
is it for us to go through things if not to learn from it, or to capitalize off of the things that we did learn in order to give ourselves some type of grace and wisdom as well too.
Hmm.
Like we have to go through the, look at the things that we've gone through and that we've overcame, and understand that there's somebody else that's going through it too, and that
Absolutely.
a lot of times that is our anchor to help somebody else get out of what we've been through. Because man, let's think about it, especially what you were addicted to. There's not a lot of people who make it out of that, especially
Mm.
not what you said, just going cold turkey. Like that's not a cold turkey type of scenario. You got to really be in a position to have a really strong willpower in order for you to just quit that cold turkey, because
100%.
you're dealing with, with that particular drug, crack, it's a couple of things put together in order for them to make crack. So you dealing with different types of energy, so to speak, whenever
Hmm.
a person is divesting in crack, right? And you can tell because of the way that their lifestyle turns out. And like you said, people could get Percocets and then get addicted, and toothaches and then get addicted. But it's all tied to some type of pain.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the
Absolutely.
root of all addiction, is pain of some sort. And I think that's why in my monologue I said that about, the fact that most people, or if not all people that are dealing with addiction, is dealing with some type of means of escaping some type of pain,
Some people
coping,
don't want out.
dealing, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You said some people don't want out of their
Yeah.
addiction.
So I talked to um, like I said, I've talked to a bunch of people in addiction while I was in, and
Right.
one person I know, they told me like I don't want to get out, and I was like, why don't you want to get out? And they can't see their daughter, and they'll never see their daughter, and and they know they're killing themselves every day by using, but they keep using because it drowns the pain out of not being able to see their daughter, and to deal with it without drugs, they don't want to think about that, and so they
Mm.
they would they are more willing to kill themselves each and every day slowly than to face the pain of not being able to see their daughter, which is heartbreaking. Like,
No, no, no. But listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. Outside of addiction, right? There's a level of just disregard for the way men feel about their children,
absolutely.
because there has been this misconception that women love the children more based on the way that the children's come into the world. Children come into the world by the women carrying them for their gestation, right? They carry them and they feel that connection, that bond, almost feel like it's a possession of theirs, right? And so whenever a child is born, everybody checks on the mom. They make sure the mom is good. They do everything. They don't think about the dad. They could care less about the dad. There's things that they will never understand as a father what it means to love a child, because sat in the position that a man is supposed to play as the head of a household, he has to love everybody the same but separate but equal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the
100%.
hardest things that people don't understand, because then women have the ability to only love people based on what they feel they get from the situation. A lot of transaction come with the way women love. But for men, having to be the leader means that you have to love the wife, you have to love your children, you have to love everybody the same. Everybody going to draw the same type of attention from you. You got to balance it all out. The only difference between your spouse than your mom or your grandmother and everything else is the physical part that you share with her. But the
Absolutely.
responsibility of a man being the leader of your house or your family, it doesn't go away because of the person that comes into your life. But then again, a man has to love and lay his life down for everything that is in front of him. And he's
Absolutely.
expected to, without having the same regard given to him when it comes to the lives that he protects. It's like we are to lay our lives down to protect what is supposed to be ours, but we can give where our lives are expendable based on whether it's a financial thing or whether it's happiness involved. And
Well, and
so,
that goes all the way back to Adam. Like he was put in charge of everything in the garden,
uh-huh,
and was called to protect everything in the garden. So I coming into recovery and coming out of addiction, I really looked at and I went through this class. It was called Fatherhood Connection, um,
right.
and it basically went like, how can you be a better man? How can you um, be a better man to your spouse, or how can you be a better man to your kids or at work? And because everywhere we go we are called to protect them. So I even tell people now, like, if you're in my area of influence, in my sphere of influence, and I
Hmm.
say I've got you,
Hmm.
like, and I'll do whatever I have to for you to get what you need, like,
Hmm.
and my people know it. Like, if preacher tells me he's got me, I don't have to worry about nothing. Like, and I'll figure it out. And so I think, um, as a man, we just one men are supposed to. The world tells you, ooh, have a hard exterior, but I think it's good to show emotion and show things like that, because it gives everybody else the freedom to be able to do that as well. And then, because one thing that nobody ever talks about really, and now it's just starting to be talked about, is mental health
Hmm.
in the world of a man. Because
Right.
we have been told to, like, and I was in the army, so like it's easy for me just buckle up and strap up and like not even if I'm feeling something, not even tell people because that's what a man does. That's a quote what a man does. Um, but it definitely the man is definitely forgot about. That's why I don't see my kids like they're not blood. I raised the oldest since he was 3, raised the youngest since he was a baby. He's our nephew, and like I because I'm not blood, she has no legal obligation to let me see them. Like I'll email her and be like, "How are the boys? Their birthdays are coming up in February." So I'm just like at Christmas, I sent her an email with Amazon gift cards. I'll do the same thing for their birthday. I write them all the time. Um, I truly believe, regardless if I'm there or here, talking to them, not talking to them, I'm still their dad and so what I do today, I tell people all the time, make the most of every opportunity that comes your way, but you don't prepare yourself for that opportunity when the opportunity comes. You prepare yourself before that opportunity comes. So every day I'm looking at how can I better myself as a man, not just for my
Right.
girlfriend, not just for her kids, not for I work with kids at work right now, like not for the kids that come in here, not for my staff, not for my family, like but even for my boys who even though I don't see them, I'm still their dad. And so I still have to prepare myself for when that opportunity comes when I can be in their life.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's a great way to look at it, man, because there is a time and place for everything. And it's not always on our time,
Absolutely.
and so it could get discouraging. Trust me, I'm right with you. You don't have to go through addiction and stuff to still have to suffer the loss of not being able to see your children or be in their lives just based off decisions that people make, right? But I will say this, man, that's a great positive outlook to have because at the end of the day, we can only, deal with how we feel or control how we feel and how we
Absolutely.
deal with things. We can't control the actions of others. And at some point, we have to be able to be okay with ourselves, right? And not be so hard on ourselves because we haven't been able to live a picture perfect life or even the life that we envisioned for ourselves from whenever we started envisioning our lives. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So I think that's a good thing. So listen, man, I think people got a lot of this conversation, but I think people also would probably really do good in being able to have one-on-one conversations with you
definitely.
about that because I think just the fact that you was able to get over a crack addiction with cold turkey, just having the willpower and the mindset to say this is not what I'm going to do,
It wasn't
um,
easy.
and I mean, that's the part, right? Even through rehab, it's not easy. I know some people in my family who went through rehab a few times before they actually got it together. So nothing that's worth having is easy. And it
Mhm.
doesn't matter if it's on the end of an addiction or if it's on the end of success. Like either way it go, it's not going to be easy. You're going to have to put in the work and you're going to have to
Absolutely.
do it day in and day out. It doesn't because you just feel like it's supposed to happen to you doesn't mean that it's going to, but it can if you put in the work. So we can't give nothing in our lives an excuse outside of the fact that we
Mhm.
got to put in the work. So you're right. It may have been
Muhammad
tough.
Ali, Muhammad Ali said, "Suffer now, suffer today, and live the rest of your life as a champion." Like,
Come on,
and
man.
I stand firm by that. Like, there are things that you're gonna have to go through, like, and it's gonna suck. It's gonna
It's
suck.
going to.
But like, it's the people who are successful are the people who get up at 5:30 in the morning when everybody else is getting up at 8 o'clock because you
Exactly.
understand if I'm uh, I think it was Vince Lombardi too. Um, he said sweat more in practice, bleed less in war. Um,
Mm.
like and so like it's the more you put in leading up to the greater reward you're
The
gonna have
outcome.
and the greater
Yeah,
feeling.
man. And the fact that you recognize that you have to put in the work and it's not just going to come to you. because you feel like you are the person that just says it's supposed to. You got to put in the work and you got to believe in yourself, man. I mean, that's one of the hardest things that most people do. Everybody is harder on themselves than the people outside of them. You have to be willing to believe in yourself without looking at yourself as arrogant or anything else. You got to be able to have a certain level of confidence in yourself in order for you to get
Definitely.
through these things, right? So look,
And
let's do this, man.
surround
Go
yourself
ahead.
with people that see your value and worth.
Yeah.
Because
And that
when I was
and
in
that's tough
addiction, I
too.
surrounded myself with people that couldn't see my value and couldn't see my worth. And so when I surrounded myself with that, I couldn't see my value and worth as well.
Hmm.
And so when we
Yeah.
surround ourselves with people that can see our value, see our worth, and then they push us to be a better version than who we were the day before, then we
Right.
begin to hold ourselves to that standard as well.
That's a fact. And I think that's a good way to look at things, man, because being accountable is one of the ways that I think all of us in life will get to the place that we need to be by just being able to be accountable for what we do. It's okay to apologize. It's okay to be wrong. You can't be right all the time, right?
Mm-mm.
And I also think that it's important that we give each other grace too, as we're, you know what I mean, moving through our whole life or the rest of our life that we have. We got to give ourselves grace. We're not going to always get it right, but just be okay with the fact that we are still trying. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And just not giving up. So before we get out of here, man, I think it's only right because I know you're still at the job and we already, politicked that earlier that, of how your night was gonna go. Let's do this. I want people to be able to reach out to you, bro. And for
Definitely.
those that are dealing with addiction, dealing with some type of coming out of addiction, whether it's recovery or somebody that's actively in it that want to get out, how can they reach you, man?
Uh, well, you can. There's a couple places. Facebook, Antoine Evans on Facebook, um, and Instagram. It's at uh, King underscore in underscore recovery, King in recovery. Um, and then YouTube, the Savage Collective podcast. We haven't recorded an episode in a while, but actually tomorrow we're gonna record like 4 episodes and drop them consecutively every week.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and so those places are probably the best one. Facebook is probably the the easiest to get in touch with me. One thing
Okay.
someone
Good.
I heard say it was a business guy, and I'm kind of trying to adopt it a little bit and making a little tweak. He said he wants to be easy to find, but difficult to contact. But I want to be
Mm,
easy to find and kind of hard to contact.
I understand
So
how
I
that goes.
I still want people to be able to reach out and ask questions and things like that. But at the same time, I don't want everybody blowing me up.
I feel you. Well, I mean, at this particular point in time, if anybody does blow you up based on that, it's only because it's just based on your purpose. That's all.
Facts,
I mean, I
facts.
don't I don't think that there are a lot of people who are in addiction that's even on their phones or at a computer or
Yeah.
anything like that.
No, I know I
So for
won't
the
say
most part, yeah. So for the most part, if you do get blown up, it's because there are a bunch of people who gonna need that. So
absolutely.
hopefully you do get blown up. Now, if
I
it's a
hope
way
so.
that you can put it in a position where they can help donate to make sure that you can continue to give the support and pour out, like and pour into your cup, I'm sure that's a way. But if a person is suffering from addiction and their money is going to what they're addicted to, I just feel like your currency gonna come back from the most high because just think about it, TED Talks will be right around the corner from you, boy.
Hey,
And if
that'd be nice.
they start calling you, you know what type of check you're getting, right?
Facts. And
But
that's eventually that's what I'm trying to get to
and
is
listen, I ain't even
speaking.
know that.
What's that?
I said, and I ain't even know that. So you
Nah,
see what
and that's what's crazy. I'm trying to get around and speak and trying to make the podcast like a permanent thing, like have a studio and things like that. So that's my dream.
so there you go. I'm speaking into your life already, bro.
I
We ain't
love
even know. You know what I'm saying? So there you go. So listen, this is the vibe that we on. So what I want all of y'all that's watching tonight, thank y'all so much for watching, man, and
Thank you.
enjoying the conversation. Thank you for all the comments to the people that tapped in with the comments. And I also want you all to know, like, if you guys are suffering with addiction or know somebody that's suffering from addiction, especially through substance, because we want to be specific, right? Because you can't have a testimony without tests. So we want
Absolutely.
everybody to understand that if you got something specific and we can talk to you specifically, it always works. You know, he's open. And what I'm going to do is if you're watching this, y'all will see his name tagged to the video. And also when I drop the clips, his name will be tagged in it so you guys can easily just click on the link, click on his name, message him, and let's
I'll
try to
throw a
get some
comment in
help.
there.
Yeah. All right, bet. So follow him based on that, and you guys will be able to get to him. And like he said, he not using it as a business right now. You notice he didn't give y'all no .coms and nothing. But we want y'all to understand that if you do take out of him, it's okay to pour into him as well. You know what I mean? So let's do that. Or at least support his podcast when it does drop, because that's a free way that you guys can help him get to the next level as well. Right.
100%.
So thank you so much, bro. I want you to hold on, don't leave yet. But to
Yes,
everybody
sir.
else, man, thank y'all so much, man. And remember, if y'all don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. So until next week, y'all, I'm gonna say peace.